Welcome to Originals Tea. Premium tea manufacturer since 2019. Why tea and coffee are called refreshing drinks? Tea and coffee are the drinks preferred to keep ourselves awake and alert for a long time. Be it for a project submission on the deadline day, or a busy day at the office, or even while binge-watching your favorite show. The dependency on these beverages is ever increasing. Why tea and coffee are called refreshing drinks? Tea and coffee are known to be refreshing drinks because of the presence of certain stimulants such as caffeine, Theobromine and Theophylline. These stimulants are known to decrease sleep pressure and increase alertness. Presence of L-Theanine in tea also calms the brain together with increasing focus. Most of us are guilty of depending on tea or coffee as head starters for our days, as all of us notice an immediate mood lift once we've had our share of a cup of perfectly brewed tea and coffee. What is it that makes these beverages alluring enough to turn them into a regular practice of human routine? What makes them so refreshing that we entrust our mornings on these drinks? Why do we turn to them to deal with our stress better at times of immense workload when our brain's crippling under pressure? What is the buzz about these beverages, after all? Both tea and coffee are essentially aromatic drinks which offer a wide range of flavors to suit our preferences. Tea, a herb, extracted from Camellia sinensis, and coffee, brewed from roasted coffee beans that are dried from coffee berries, assure almost similar levels of comfort and find differences mainly in the way in which they are obtained, assuring different aromas and tastes depending on how new or old the tea leaves are or how long the coffee beans have been roasted. The buzz, however, has always been about how the stimulants present in these beverage drinks benefit our body, be it the temporary boost to our brain functions or the health benefits they pose if the intake is well controlled. What are the stimulants present in tea and coffee? Stimulants target the central nervous system, enhancing performance, at least, temporarily, such that your stress levels decrease manifold to benefit your immediate functions. Tea and coffee constitute a fair share of certain stimulants that are otherwise considered to be mild, such that they seem to playfully engage with our central nervous system to impart immediate energy to go about the day. Caffeine. A pharmacologically active compound, caffeine is the most well-known stimulant that is present both in tea and coffee. 1 cup of coffee roughly constitutes about 70 to 100 milligrams of caffeine, while a cup of tea can boast of about 26 milligrams of the same. There's obviously a clear disparity if you compare the caffeine content of tea and that of coffee, and you might infer that there should, therefore, be a clear distinction between how refreshed and boosted you feel when you gulp a cup of tea and how energized you are when you drink a cup of coffee. To be fair, caffeine is the sole stimulant that is present in coffee in abundance, while tea has a significant number of other stimulants, such that it is more the balance and interaction of these stimulants that goes on to benefit your performance. To draw a light-hearted analogy, a cup of tea might feel like a gentle mother coercing you to put your best foot forward, while a cup of coffee would feel more like a boss you need to please, which can only be done when you are % active. Either way, there can be no robbing off of the credit caffeine shares in being the active compound that has the greatest responsibility at play to make both the beverages refreshing and energizing. What does caffeine do to be such a strong psychoactive stimulant? It blocks the sleep pressure that is created with growing amounts of adenosine in our bodies through the day, which is a neurotransmitter that carries the nerve signals of tiredness to our brain. Theobromine and Theophylline. Belonging to the xanthine family of compounds, Theobromine and Theophylline perform their function best when combined with caffeine, bringing forth several physiological advantages to support the psychological effect engineered by caffeine. The overall benefit lies greatly in the interaction of the compounds. What does Theophylline do? Theophylline effortlessly eases breathing by relaxing the muscles present in the airway, thereby extending a stimulation on the heart's contraction rates. What does Theobromine do? It promotes the removal of excess water, salts and urea from the body, a diuretic effect combined with increased blood flow, thereby causing a reduction in blood pressure. While the amounts of Theophylline and Theobromine in coffee and tea are negligible, they perform a synergic function in promoting the stimulation caused by caffeine, creating ample evidence that all the three compounds together make tea and coffee refreshing. L-Theanine. An interesting amino acid stimulant, L-Theanine in combination with caffeine has a significant hand in relaxing our brains and honing our attentive capabilities, at least, temporarily. There have been frequent studies to understand the complexity of the amino acid such that it even manages to make itself through the brain and blood barrier. Though these complexities are perhaps incomprehensible for general tea drinkers, it is vital to know that it is this amino acid that adds that difference to the kind of relaxation tea brings forth as compared to that brought on by coffee. L-theanine is only present in tea leaves. Coffee 3. What does L-theanine do? It interacts with the neurotransmitters like dopamine in our brains, producing alpha waves that relax alertness while at the same time, kickstart attentiveness. Much of the theories point at how L-theanine grabs the main credits in promoting the mild kind of buzz that brings the immediate relief associated with tea. Tea is essentially subtle in its effects as compared to coffee. What are the other prominent benefits of coffee and tea? Reduction in the risk of dementia. Many research papers point at the benefit of caffeine at mediating the risks of dementia and Alzheimer's alongside its ability to increase brain activity, as talked before. A boon for the immune system. Green tea and white tea, both have been praised time and again to be beneficial for our immune systems. There has been no denial of the same, even in traditional folklore. Green tea, especially, is very high in its polyphenol content, which is popular in combating cancer as it slows down the process of oxidative damage. Protection from overexposure to sun rays. The constituents of tea interfere with the harsh effects of the free radicals we are exposed to from sun's ultraviolet rays, also creating a protective layer once broken down into metabolites. Increase in adrenaline in blood. Adrenaline is the fight-or-flight hormone that significantly boosts physical activity. The instant spike in adrenaline from drinking coffee and its ability to break down fat to produce fatty acids, then available to be expended as energy, promotes a heightened all-round performance for as long as the buzz lasts. Possible protection against liver disease. Coffee is replete with antioxidants to combat and then neutralize the free radicals which anyway interfere and cause a deterioration of cells. Therefore, many pieces of research have centered upon exploring how it helps in reducing the risks of contracting a liver disease. Similarly, the antioxidants in green tea also function in an identical fashion. Which of the two grabs the crown of the best refreshing drink? While there has been the longest debate concerning which of the two drinks is better, they have always succumbed to an ambiguous end, given that much of the preference rests on individual opinion. The support tea seems to have garnered from tea drinkers who choose it because of lower caffeine content, which allows them to drink more cups of tea without worrying about overstimulating their brains. On the other hand, coffee pleases its drinkers with a wide variety of tastes enjoyed with little tampering of the recipes. The comparison seems to be inconclusive. However, both draw their cards well in their game against other refreshments like cold drinks and soda drinks. You can't possibly imagine waking up in the morning and expecting to grab your bottle of chilled Coke to experience an energy boost to combat the challenge of making it through the day? There's obviously a reason why tea and coffee have somehow been ritualized into human lives, and an immediate guess as to why this happened rests on how refreshing they tend to be it to satiate your drowsy senses into waking up in the morning, or to keep yourself from losing interest on the very demanding work your boss seems to have chosen you to complete with utmost sincerity, or even when you have an exam the very next day, and you really need to keep yourself awake through the night. The spectrum of scenarios is wide, and the answer mostly is brewing a cup of tea or coffee. Framing the answer in a nutshell, coffee and tea have been the most popular kinds of refreshments in the beverage industry, given that there's barely any individual in our country who hasn't at least tried a cup of chai or a mug full of coffee and later went back to make another for the love of that sweet little buzz you feel that wakes your senses up to be more receptive to new information, preparing you to further use that information in a more proactive manner. Once an individual has explored all the different aromas which can be actuated by shifting between different kinds of tea leaves or roasting coffee beans a little less and sometimes maybe a little more, he or she is bound to be elated in the very experience of experimentation. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.